And it seems that the state of Israel, and this sounds pessimistic, but I'm saying it optimistically. It sounds like the state of Israel is dying. Nobody trusts it anymore. It can't defend its citizens, and it has no legitimacy even in the eyes of the Jews who live here.
Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Even though this interview is being posted on Friday, October 20th, I'm speaking with Rafi the night before, and I am a bit concerned about Rafi, but he seems to be in good spirits. Rafi, nice to come on the channel. How are you?
I am right now. I'm good. I'm good. I'm feeling okay. But who knows what happens tomorrow? And I'm ready for. Can't say I'm ready for anything, but I'm ready to move if I have to.
Yeah, and the reason I wanted to have you on is because I see a lot of comments on my videos, how is Rafi? And just wanted to let people know that you look fine and you've got something behind you that you
Mhm.
showed me. Do you want to show the viewers? You,
Yeah, sure.
you're ready for.
Had this made. This is until I get my gun back. This is my weapon.
All right.
It's half a joke, half serious. I guess I will use it if we get invaded, but I don't think that's going to happen because most of the
Yeah.
Israeli army is stationed near me,
Yeah.
uh, and it's actually it's a heartwarming story in a violent way about how that bet came together. Just we start talking to each other, and the communities that we've tried, that local community that I've been building is like, do you want a bat? And then the other guy does, do you want nails in the bat? You want a verse carved into the bat? And then some other guy brought me a vacuum sealed pack of barley. The guy who owns a distillery here has all this extra barley. He found another 9 tons of it in some kind of closet, and he's handing out barley to everybody. So people are coming together, and we don't know exactly what we're doing, but you know, it's a good sense of community, and besides all the dangers that are amassing
Yeah.
around us, and who knows what happens next week.
I'm gonna show, if you don't mind, a map here, and so people, the viewers are aware of where you are. This is the Gaza Strip here. This is all where all the problems started. But you're
Yeah,
up here, right, Rafi, in the Golan Heights?
yeah, I'm up there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and I mean, I spoke with you just before we started about, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and you said you're not really following anything, but it seems to be, when you look at the news here, uh, for example, it says US, UK, and Germany tell citizens to leave Lebanon amid fears of wider conflict. So, could you tell us your thinking? Uh, you know, and I kind of agree with you. There's a lot of, they say that the first victim of war is the truth. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to. That should be better now. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you hear me better now?
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Sorry, what was the question?
Well, where I just showed them, a headline about Hezbollah in Lebanon, and you're close to that region,
Right.
Lebanon, and you said you hadn't really looked at the news, you don't want to know, and I kind of get your point because I try to avoid it too, because there's so much. As they say, the first victim of war is usually the truth. So maybe
Truth. Yeah.
you could elaborate on what you're thinking here.
Um, just okay, so what am I thinking? I'm thinking that I think everybody in this country is thinking that we can no longer trust our government, not even in the sense that we can't trust them to educate our kids, we can't trust them um, to do basic, government services, can't trust them for anything, but we can't even trust them to defend us anymore. And there's a growing sense of separation between the people and the state. And it seems that the state of Israel, and this sounds pessimistic, but I'm saying it optimistically. It sounds like the state of Israel is dying. Nobody trusts it anymore. It can't defend its citizens, and it has no legitimacy even in the eyes of the Jews who live here. but in its place, the Jewish people are rising up. And I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but we see now that America is sort of taking over the security situation, which is absolutely horrible. It's turning us into literally the 51st state. And people say that about us in a derogatory way, and I agree. And I do not want to be the 51st state. I don't want any help from America, but they're coming in. They're stationing 2,000 troops here. They're going to call the shots from now on. This is, when back during the Second Commonwealth, when the second Jewish state under the Hashmonaim, the Hasmoneans, who beat out the Greeks on Hanukkah, and they reigned for, I think, a century and a half or so, maybe a little less. And they invited Rome in to solve some kind of civil dispute between two successors to the throne. And then that brought Rome in here, and from there it was all downhill. So bringing America in is not a very good idea. It's actually a spectacularly bad idea. We have no precedent for anything like this ever working in our history, which goes back 3,000 years. Bringing in a foreign power always fails. And the biggest hope I can cling to is that the dollar collapses before everything here falls apart, and then gets America out of the picture, and then we can do our own thing. And that would be very difficult. We'd have a lot less help from outside, but we're Jews. We don't need help from outside. We need help from God. And that sounds all gung-ho and crazy, but that's the nature of the Jewish people. That's how it's always been, and it's how it always will be, and it's how it's going to be again.
Yeah, and talking about the dollar, I know it sounds a little bit, how can I say, what's the word? Yeah, egoistic or selfish. Tell me what you think is happening, how this conflict could impact not just the dollar, but the whole financial system. I mean, as we speak here, it's 7 p.m. London time on the Thursday, and we've got gold up like $25, trading at 1973. Even silver now is back up. And I've noticed that Jay Powell, he came out at the Economic Club of New York, and he said that financial conditions have deteriorated. So, and he's also mentioned geopolitical problems. So it looks like the Fed is like not going to raise rates at the end of the month. So just give us your view on things.
Uh-huh. Wait, where are we on the 10-year?
The 10-year yield actually touched 5% today. We're now at 4.97.
497. It's swinging wildly, I see.
Yeah, it's up
It was up
7
to
basis
five,
points.
and then it was down to 487, and now it's up to 497 again.
Yeah.
We're definitely seeing the death thralls of this whole system, and the on top of dollar cash is U.S. Treasuries, which is like the third layer in Extra's pyramid.
Yeah.
So these, when the bottom layers really start deteriorating like this, the whole pyramid's going to topple over pretty soon. How far we are from the end, it's got to be very, very close. Because what I'm watching mainly is the reverse repo tank of extra dollars, and that has been draining. I haven't even checked the latest numbers. I can check right now and see where it is, but
I'll bring it up. Reverse repo. Could you explain to people why if when it drains, why that would be a problem for the system?
So basically, the Treasury has been raising money hand over fist.
Yeah.
Since the June 1st. Since the June 1st debt ceiling deal. Okay, so it's 1.1 trillion, still around there. So I think it was 1.15. Oh, so it's down about 30, 40, 36 billion or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, I can't do math. I was fasting today in prayer, so I'm kind of a little woozy, and I just ate, so I'm okay. But it was there was a fast day called today by some rabbis, so I obliged, and I spent the day fasting and learning, and I did a video in the middle. So this is the dollars that are basically left over from the 2020 and 2021 round of printing, and all of this is heading into the Treasury's account at the Federal Reserve at the New York Fed, and they're basically the only ones buying these treasuries that are being raised so that the government can spend it. And I think Biden's just pledged another $100 billion of U.S. money, U.S. taxpayer money, to both to fight the double war front now in Israel and in Ukraine. And the account's going to drain, and the reverse repos are going to drain. And once they do, then who's going to bid on the next treasury auctions? There's going to be no spare dollars to do it. And everybody needs as many dollars as they can get right now, which is why you're seeing gold and the dollar start wobbling against each other really intensely. Because as in demand as gold is, because it looks like Armageddon is at hand. And I'm using that semi-poetically. I don't even know if I'm joking anymore. That people still need dollars also to continue their debt service. So when this tank, basically what I'm saying is when this tank goes to zero, and it's going to go to zero at this rate in something like between 12 and 15 weeks from now, if the rate continues, then there will be no spare dollars to bid on treasury auctions, and rates are going to have to jump very, very high, like almost overnight. And if you tell me, oh, what are you talking about? That never happens to treasuries. That's impossible. Well, we saw that exact thing happen on the short end of the treasury market on September 17th, 2019, called the repocalypse. It happened, right? Short-term rates went from like close to 0 to 10% in a day. Yeah. So people tell me, oh, well, you can't see the 10-year, the 20-year, 30-year rates go from 5% to 15% in a day. I don't know. Maybe we can. I don't know. I'm not like analyzing the plumbing of how this would specifically work. I'm just saying, yeah, it's very conceivable. And when it does, the Fed is going to print like there is no tomorrow, because there won't be a tomorrow if it doesn't. And even if it does, there only will be a tomorrow and maybe 2 days after that, and the dollar will be dead. I'm speaking poetically. I don't know exactly. I'm not trying to make timing here. I'm just saying we're nearing the end of this. And when it hits physical reality and it leads to war and massacre on your borders and tanks surrounding your city and the whole country in a frenzy, not trusting its government, this is what the end game is like. It's not a play in the park. It's serious stuff, and people die. And you got to pray to God that you'll get through it and do what you can.
Yeah. Do you think what's happening now in Israel could happen in the States if the dollar were to collapse?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not in the terms of not a lot like a whole. We're set in terms of what looks to be sort of a holy war, not even sort of a holy war between the Jewish people and the Ishmaelites, or whatever we want to call them. But this sort of massacre that we saw 2 weeks ago against my people is biblical level stuff. This is what you read about, when marauding armies go in and just kill everyone that they see, or don't see, set houses on fire. I mean, I don't want to go into the details, but we've seen this before. It's not like this has never happened to us before. There have been pogroms against us before, where invading armies just go and kill every man, woman, and child that they see. So, I mean, in a historical sense, we're used to this, even though I'm not. But in America, it would just be people that are hungry, that are looking for food, and killing people with food. And I just hope that our team, meaning the preppers, the monetary preppers, and those that stockpile weapons and food and move away from population centers, they will have enough protection for themselves. And there's also this the valid worry that all of the you can picture mass leaking borders as like a country hemorrhaging, infection going in, and that's definitely happening at the Mexico border, the southern border. That's been happening to America for years now. I don't even know the numbers, but hundreds of thousands, even millions of people are coming into America from Mexico, and they're not even Mexicans, right? They're from all over the world, because they see you can take a flight to Mexico, then you can go to the border and get into the country. They could be Eritreans, Somalians, all these kinds of potential sleeper cell terrorists. They could be activated once the dollar is in mayhem, and who knows what the hell's going to happen? I don't know. I never even thought along these lines. This is not my strategic line of thinking, but this is definitely possible, if not even probable, because when a country stops defending its borders, what the hell is the point of the damn country?
It's the same thing is happening here in the UK with all the supposed refugees coming in through the south coast, and they're all like young men in their 20s and early 30s, and they're putting them up in hotels, and we don't know where they're coming from as well. And I even heard that they're flying, Palestinians sometimes they go to Istanbul and fly to Bogota in Colombia, and then they go up to Panama, up to the US. So yeah, like you said, we don't know who's going to be there. I wanted to ask you, I watched, I mean, I've known about this, but I watched a really good video that was made 2 years ago from a history channel on YouTube. And they talk about the Zionist movement in the 1800s that came about because of all the pogroms against the Jews in Eastern Europe and in Europe, and the idea of homeland was so that the Jews could be safe, and that's what Israel is all about. Even though there are some very Orthodox Jews who don't agree with that Israel shouldn't be a state, but that's not my point here. My point is, you said if the state of Israel collapses, like you said, they failed defending people. How do you think that would look, with all the people around you that don't see as you do? Do you think that might even help maybe the Jewish people make peace with the other people around the area? Because prior to the state of Israel, I mean, there weren't as many Jews as there are right now in 100 years, but they lived in relative peace compared to now. And the other thing I'd say, Rafi, and I'm not judging anyone or anything, is that I remember when I was a kid in the 70s, the Yom Kippur War, all the troubles, and people always used to say, "Oh, that part of the world, there will always be problems. They can't seem to live in peace." So I'll let you respond to that.
Okay. I'm not interested in peace. I'm interested in surviving and having my people live and not be slaughtered. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm interested in winning. And you can't have peace until somebody wins the war. And by winning the war, I mean, I don't want to, it's not something I'm not going to say publicly, but we need to protect ourselves. We need to do whatever is necessary to do that. And I'll leave that up to your imagination. But I'm tired of being lectured by nations that have engaged in genocide many, many times in almost all of the wars they've ever fought, and lecturing the Jewish people about how to conduct themselves in a time of war. Basically, we've always been slaughtered by Gentiles when they get emotional for whatever reason. And we're here because this is our homeland. It's not, we didn't just like, Zionism wasn't made in didn't develop in a vacuum and some secular group of Jews said, "Oh, why not Israel?" It's like we pray for this land 3 times a day throughout all of exile. It's not like we don't have a connection to it. That's ridiculous. This is our homeland. And yeah, I don't mind other people who aren't Jews living here. I have no problem with that at all. But I do have a problem with people who are trying to kill me. It's very simple, okay? I'm not interested in peace right now. I'm interested in fighting for the Jewish people's survival and avenging their blood. And I understand very, very well, that this is a deep state operation, and to some degree, some elements within the state of Israel, I do not know who, and I'm not going to speculate exactly what happened here. Something on our team knew something and allowed this to happen to some degree. Whether there was silence or whether there was active participation, I do not know, and I cannot make any accusations. But meaning the point is, I know this is part of the military-industrial complex, and the best way to get back at the deep state, or to prevent the deep state from getting what it wants, is for this war to be won very quickly so that weapons cannot be pouring in here and taxpayer money wasted more and more bloodshed over the next few months or years or however long this takes. Okay, Israel has to win this war decisively and completely, which I believe at the minimum means a separation of populations and Egypt taking all of the Gazans into its country by opening its border, whether by agreement, preferably by agreement, or by force, right? They cannot come into Israel. If you think about this very logically, and if you want the Jewish people to survive, which, it's not up to you, it's up to us to have ourselves survive. That's why we have this country, because we have to be in charge of our own history now. And it's not up to the Gentiles anymore. There's either, if you want us to Israel to end the problem in Gaza, so either, okay, well, we just take down the borders and then let the Gazans become Israelis, and then we have all this population of Arabs that many of them are dedicated to the death of every Jew on the planet. Okay, so that's not acceptable. I'm sorry, I'm not going to accept that. The other option is we just keep them where they are, and this keeps going on and on and on for years and years and years. Or the third option is they all move out. Okay, we open up the border, push them all out, and they go to Egypt, which is an Arab Muslim country where Arab Muslims should be, not here, and that's it. And then you can end it. That's how this has to end, one way or another. And if it doesn't, it's going to keep going, and the military-industrial complex is going to get what it wants.
Yeah. Why do you think the deep state I think they didn't respond for 7 hours? What was the point of letting this happen, you think?
I was talking to one of my rabbis about this, and some of the people I listen to believe that they are a death cult, or whoever the deep state is. I can't even accuse Netanyahu of doing this because he's politically toast now. He's ended his career. I don't think he's responsible for this. Maybe he is. I really don't know. But what would be the point? What I'm thinking, if you don't want to think that the state of Israel is a death cult that wants to kill Jews, and I don't believe that yet. I mean, I don't want to. I don't actually believe it, but who knows anymore? One of my rabbis said that, okay, so they're not a death cult. So maybe they were trying to get some kind of unrest on the border and allow something to happen that they thought was going to be small scale, but it got out of control. Like he used the example of somebody at a dangerous intersection near his home. He wanted a traffic light at the intersection, so he staged an accident which got out of hand and had like 20 people killed when he thought it was going to be a fender bender. Right? It's just a theory. I don't know, but what I do know is that that you can drive from where I live all the way down to Eilat in less than 7 hours. So what the hell did it take the Army 7 hours to get even a helicopter gunship that could have mowed them all down in 5 minutes? This is ridiculous. I don't know what happened here. It's just nothing is right here. Something is going on. And what was the question is, like, if your question was, if the state of Israel collapses, then what happens to the Jews? Are we overrun? Well, I can't really answer that in any kind of rational way.
I didn't say you'd be overrun. I just said, it will be kind of, I don't know, it's without the protection of the state. I mean, I guess you'd still have trappings of, military trappings of the state. And I know most Israelis, even women, have to go to the army. So you'd be, able to fight.
The state, I think, is, it's dangerous to say this, but I don't think the state is with us. So I think there is a separation between the state of Israel and the people of Israel now. And now you're talking about the Orthodox, the so-called Orthodox Jews. It's a very, very simplistic term for them. I'm an Orthodox Jew because I'm a religious Jew. And there are very different strands of anti-Zionist Jews that do not believe in the state of Israel. I also don't believe in the state of Israel because I'm a Rothbardian anarchist, but I'm my own brand thing. But most people, when they talk about that, they're talking about the Neturei Karta, which is a very, very small group of people. It's very insignificant. The reason that this is why they exist, this is how they get their funding. They wave Palestinian flags during times like this, and then they get all their funding from Hamas itself or from the PA. That's where they get their money from. No Jews donate to them, and they're very small, just a few thousand people. The real anti-Zionists that are part of us, that I consider as part of my nation, the much bigger groups of Hasidim, like the Satmar Hasidim that live in Brooklyn and Williamsburg. And there's a big contingent of them that live in Mea Shearim here, and they're anti-Zionist and they wave black flags on Independence Day, and I'm fine with them, and they're fine, whatever. You don't have to love the state of Israel, but they don't cheer on terrorist attacks. Okay, and they are with us, and they want to be protected. Okay, they just don't believe in the state, and I don't believe in the state. So it's a very, very small group of people. And what would happen if the state collapses? Leave that up to God, because we're not leaving here. We were promised that we would come back a third time, and we're not going to leave again. It could be that a lot of us are killed. Chas v'shalom, that should happen, and we should have a great victory. But it seems that we are in a process of some kind of major war, whether it's, you want to read prophecy into it or not, but the wheels have started turning, and it's in God's hands now, and we'll do the best we can. That's all I can say.
And just a final question, Rafi. Are your kids, your wife, everyone okay? Are they still going to school, or has it been closed, or everything is
normal? Closed. It's been closed. School is open in the middle of the country. School is closed in the Golan, and border towns have been evacuated. I'm not at the border. My town has not been evacuated. But school is closed, so we're doing more homeschooling, and they're okay, and we're keeping them busy. And everyone physically is fine, and I'm making plans to evacuate to the center of the country if I need to. I'm not activating any of those plans yet. I'm figuring out where to trusted friends to divide my silver up with, people that understand, that have been with me for many years, and I trust them. So on Sunday, I'm driving down to the center to make some plans, and it's what else can I say? I'm not leaving. I thought about getting on the boat to Cyprus, but then I figured that if I do that, I would be violating every principle that I have and running at the first sign of trouble. And if I believe in the end game and I believe I'm supposed to be here, I'm going to stick it out and leave it up to God, which is why I'm praying. And this is when you turn from, just praying and having a religion being something to calm your emotions to, do you really believe in this or not? And I have to make a decision. And I do, and I'm staying.
Yeah, that's good. And even though I'm not Jewish, I'm praying for you and your family too, Rafi. So
thank you, Mario. It does help, not only just emotionally, but prayer actually does affect the world. Because God is real, and that's it.
We'll keep in touch then, and hopefully everything will turn out fine.
God willing, it will. And in the meantime, we'll keep talking.
Okay.